Imagine being such a cheat that you turn yourself into a swan, or a shower of gold, or a literal bull. Welcome to Zeus's dating life, the most chaotic love story in mythology. Of all the tales from Greek mythology, none are quite as scandalous as Zeus's endless pursuit of, well, basically anything that moved. The king of gods, master of thunder, ruler of Mount Olympus, turns out he was also the universe's most notorious cheater. And trust me, this story is wilder than any reality TV show you've ever seen. Let's start with the numbers. 92 confirmed lovers. That's not counting the ones that got left out of the stories. We're talking about gods, mortals, nymphs. If it moved, Zeus probably tried to hit on it. We also need to talk about his wife, Hera. Picture marrying someone who then cheats on you so many times that keeping track becomes your full-time job. But here's the twist. She couldn't divorce him. She was the goddess of marriage and childbirth. Oh, the irony. Imagine being married to the literal embodiment of matrimony and still being mythology's biggest cheater. It's like being married to the inventor of security cameras while running a professional shoplifting ring. But here's where it gets interesting. Zeus didn't just cheat, he turned it into an art form. When Hera would try to catch him, he'd transform himself and his lover into animals. Let's break down some of his greatest hits. Take the case of Europa. Zeus didn't just fancy her, he turned himself into a magnificent white bull to get her attention. Now, that's commitment to the cause, but by seducing Europa, he established his influence in what would become Europe. Coincidence? I think not. The continent literally bears her name. And let's talk about his transformation game. Zeus was essentially the world's first master of disguise. He became a swan for Leda, a shower of gold for Danae, and even transformed into Amphitryon to seduce his wife Alcmene. It's like he was running an ancient Greek version of Mission Impossible, just with significantly less clothing and way more drama. But here's the part they don't teach you in school. These weren't just random hookups. Each affair was carefully planned to create a new hero or demigod. Zeus was basically running an ancient Greek superhero breeding program. Every time Zeus couldn't keep it in his pants, a new hero was born. Perseus, Hercules, Helen of Troy, all products of Zeus thinking with his lightning bolt instead of his head. And the sheer creativity of his approaches deserves mention. When Hera kept watch over Io, Zeus turned her into a cow. When he wanted to reach Danae in her bronze tower, he became Golden Rain. Need to woo Persephone? Turn into a snake. Now, you might be wondering about Hera's reaction to all this. Here's where it gets messy. Hera, being the original angry wife, would hunt down these kids and try to kill them. Talk about misdirected rage. It's like being mad at the car your spouse used to drive to their dates rather than your actual spouse. But the real reason Zeus was such a player was, of course, power. Each affair created allies, each child became a hero who would worship him, and each new demigod spread his influence further across the ancient world. These weren't just affairs, they were strategic placements of powerful pieces across the ancient world. It was basically ancient Greek marketing. Every time Zeus had a kid with a mortal woman, that entire city would become loyal to him. Clever, right? But all this godly player action had some serious fallout. Let's talk about consent for a moment, or rather, the disturbing lack thereof in many of these stories. Zeus's behavior often ranged from questionable to downright criminal by today's standards. It's a dark reflection of ancient power dynamics and social structures wrapped in the glittering package of divine mythology. So what's the lesson here? Well, Zeus basically wrote the book on how not to be a husband. But he also showed us something interesting about power. Sometimes it's not about who you are, but who you're connected to. Every major hero in Greek mythology can trace their family tree back to one of Zeus's affairs. It's like he was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, with their pants on. So, was Zeus really just unable to control himself? Or was this all part of a greater divine plan? The truth probably lies somewhere in between. His affairs were simultaneously a display of power, a political strategy, and yes, probably a hefty dose of divine desire. Looking at the bigger picture, Zeus's inability to keep it in his pants shaped the entire landscape of Greek mythology. Every affair spawned new stories, new heroes, and new challenges. It created a complex web of relationships that connected gods, mortals, and everything in between. Despite all the chaos, drama, and angry wife energy, Zeus remained king of the gods. Why? Because he made sure every powerful figure in the ancient world was either his kid, his lover, or wanted to be one of the two. So next time someone calls Zeus a player, remember, he wasn't just thinking with his lightning bolt. He was building an empire, one affair at a time. Thanks for watching.